Have you ever stopped to really look at what's in your shopping cart? Well, there's a good chance that a lot of it falls into a category of food that's getting some serious attention right now, and for good reason. We're talking about ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, and today we're going to dig into what the science says this all means for our bodies. So let's kick things off with a number that's pretty staggering. Over half. Yep, in countries like the UK and the US, more than 50% of the average diet is now made up of these ultra-processed foods. And get this, for younger people, that number can shoot up to a whopping 80%. And this isn't just some minor health concern. A massive global scientific review dropped a bombshell of a conclusion with this headline: harm in every major organ system. That's a huge statement, and it really sets the stage for why we need to pay attention. Right, so this brings up two really big questions, doesn't it? First, what in the world is an ultra-processed food, really? And second, what did this giant worldwide investigation actually uncover? Let's dive in and find out. First things first, let's figure out what we're even talking about, because it's not always as obvious as you might think. We're going to decode this whole ultra-processed food category. Okay, so here's the key. Ultra-processed foods aren't just foods that have been changed a little bit, they're industrial formulations. Think about it like this. They're made with ingredients you wouldn't find in your kitchen cabinet. We're talking substances extracted from foods or even made in a lab, plus a whole bunch of additives designed to make them taste amazing and last forever on the shelf. And this chart makes the difference crystal clear. On one side, you've got your whole foods, things like apples, eggs, meat, stuff you can recognize. But on the other side, that's the UPF territory. Packaged snacks, sugary cereals, most ready meals, sodas, and yeah, even some of those healthy protein bars. The big giveaway is that they're made in a factory, not a kitchen. Scientists actually have a system for this called NOVA. It's got 4 groups. Group 1 is the whole stuff, like an apple. Group 2 is ingredients you cook with, like oil and salt. Group 3 is simply processed things, like canned beans or fresh bread. But it's that Group 4, the complex industrial formulas, that's our focus today. That's the ultra-processed category. All right, now that we're clear on what a UPF is, let's talk about this study. And I mean, this was no small-time project. It was a massive, sweeping review of research from all over the globe. Just to give you a sense of the scale here, the researchers pulled together the data from 104 different long-term studies. That is a gigantic amount of information, which means their conclusions carry some serious weight. And here's the part that really makes you stop and think. Of those 104 studies, an incredible 92 of them found a direct link between eating a lot of UPFs and having at least one chronic disease, or even dying early. That's almost 90% showing the same pattern. Wow. So the final takeaway from this huge review was completely clear. Across millions of people, a consistent pattern emerged. The more ultra-processed foods someone eats, the higher their risk for all sorts of health problems. So what kind of health problems are we talking about? Well, the study found links to harm in pretty much every part of the body. Let's zoom in on some of the biggest areas of concern. A lot of scientists believe the damage might start in our gut. It seems that the additives in these foods, like emulsifiers, can really mess with the trillions of good bacteria living in there. This can lead to inflammation and all sorts of digestive issues. It's a huge area of research right now. The connection to our metabolism was one of the strongest findings. The review found very consistent links between high UPF diets and an increased risk for things like obesity and type 2 diabetes. It makes sense, right? These foods are often designed in a way that just makes us want to eat more and more, which throws our whole system out of whack. But it doesn't stop with the gut and metabolism. The research also pointed to higher risks for heart disease, negative impacts on our brain and kidney health, and even links to mental health issues like depression. It really drives home the point that this is a whole body issue. Okay, so this is the big question, isn't it? Why? What is it about these foods that causes such widespread problems? Well, the answer is a little more complicated than you might think. For a long time, everyone just blamed the high fat, sugar, and salt content. And sure, that's definitely part of the picture. But scientists are now realizing that the ultra-processing itself, the industrial manipulation of the food, is a huge problem on its own. Researchers think it's a combination of things. First, you've got all those industrial additives that our bodies just don't really know what to do with. Second, the natural structure of the food, what scientists call the food matrix, is totally destroyed. This can make us absorb calories way too fast. Third, these foods are often low in nutrients, pushing out the good stuff we need. And finally, they're engineered to be hyper-palatable, so incredibly delicious that they basically hijack our brain and make it almost impossible to stop eating. Okay, I know hearing all of that can feel a little intense. But listen, the goal here is not to make you afraid of food. It's really about empowerment through awareness. Seriously, this is all about just understanding what you're eating. Knowing the difference between a real whole food and an ultra-processed product is the absolute first step to making choices that feel good to you. And here's a really powerful mindset shift. Instead of stressing about all the things you need to cut out, just focus on what you can add in. Every time you choose to add more whole, real food to your plate, you're naturally leaving less room for the other stuff. It's a much more positive way to think about it. Here's a super practical tip. Next time you're at the grocery store, become a detective. Flip the package over and read the ingredients list. If it's super long and filled with words you can't pronounce, emulsifiers, stabilizers, flavor enhancers, that's a pretty solid clue that you're holding an ultra-processed food. So, we'll leave you with this simple question. This isn't about completely changing your diet overnight. It's about small, simple steps. So just think, what's one simple, whole food you could add to your day starting right now?